Hello, this is episode 6 of The Rootrees Are Dead. We are resuming our investigative efforts to finalize the family tree of the Rootrees. And I feel like I'm getting pretty close at this point. Several things I thought of in the intervening moments. First is that I really should just figure out who the fuck James ends up being. I thought about watching my old VODs, like what I've already recorded, and figuring that out, but I didn't because I just started recording. Second, Guy Hudson steps down before he dies, so he actually is not the president before he dies, right? He's retired, I think, but retired isn't a thing, is it? So he may just be. Do we have anything? No. We don't know what it is, actually, because he steps down to do something else. Ernest may not be the fourth president. He may be the CEO of Root, because Carl ends up being the president of the candy company. So I don't know. I don't know what Ernest ends up being before he dies, because he does die from like cancer. We don't know anything about Gwyneth's job. We have determined this family tree. We don't know what Gwendolyn's job was. We're pretty confident that Jem is either a student K through 12 or is also in college. We have baby Tessa over here in order to identify. We still don't really know about Roottree, or November rather. So one thing I was going to try is I was just going to bump her up to college and see if it worked. It didn't. So we're going to keep her at K through 12. Yeah. So we have a lot of I feel like we know where people are, but we don't know what they did. I was under the impression from what she's complained about that everyone before Gwen was a housewife. Which is why I gave Sam and Angelica the housewife occupation, which I might just put back in for the time being, or like a third time. Oh, wait, no. We know that that's not true, because I have finished other trios and they have not been confirmed. So that's just not it. So obviously this isn't there's something among these three that are not correct, because I know for a fact that this is Jem. I don't know for a fact that this is November. It could be Katrina, honestly, and maybe we just try that right now. Or Christina. And she's K through 12. No. The reason why I keep thinking that it's November is because if we look at this, it says on the back of the photo in childish print writing, it says November. She's the only child in the picture, and she's including herself in this. I'm wondering then if maybe she is Elias's child instead of Edward's child. But it seems more likely. I mean, this is such a fucking stretch. Based only off of the offhand remark about Edward bringing home somebody that he wouldn't be able to marry if he was south of Pennsylvania. And given the time period, my presumption is that it's somebody of color. And she looks like the child of someone of color. And November is written on it, so that's why I think it's November. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's older now. Maybe she's not in college. We don't know. But November Roottree doesn't show up in search results. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look up in Starlit Robert Roottree. And now we're going to do Teen Blast. Neither. I'm hoping to figure out what the hell he does. There was somebody else who I wanted to search, and I think it was... Oh, yeah, Miracle Jr., because we actually never really did his star stuff. So Miracle Jr. Also, my dog is using a snuffle mat. So you may hear him, and I may need to get up in a second to retrieve it. If you don't know what a snuffle mat is, it's a bunch of folding pieces of fabric. In my case, it's a bunch of rainbow colored fabric pieces that kind of overlay on top of each other, and he's a hound dog, so he has to sniff and find all of the little treats that are inside of it. which he's currently doing eagerly right now. It's his reward for being a good boy. Miracle Jr. with a slash. Miracle Jr. Roottree. Miracle Jr. Miracle Jr. doesn't go by his full name in promotional materials. Instead, he has shortened it to Miracle Jr. Miracle Jr. is a televangelist who's part of the Miracle Network. Okay. I guess this is the next gen, right? Yes. Miracle Network. Miracle Jr. is a televangelist who is part of the Miracle Network. And we want to look up Miracle Network. He used to have a show that aired on local access television, local access across many stations in the northeastern United States. According to a website called Clergy Watch. Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. This is wrong. So, Edward, Lauren's brother, likely married someone who is African American or a person of color. We can delete this one. We figured that out. Let me do searches. We don't need this one anymore. We don't need this one anymore. We don't need this one anymore. We need to look up this Thomas Overwood. I don't remember. So Clergy Watch, Miracle Network. According to the website called Clergy Watch, he was exposed and subsequently charged with conspiracy to defraud the public in 1979 when he claimed to heal someone in a wheelchair. News expose revealed it was his wife Edith's sister in disguise. Okay, so Edith Jacobson. I guess is televangelist one? I guess we'll do preacher. Where's that? I can spell. Maybe not maybe a media mogul. We'll leave it blank for now. Oops. The author also mentions that Edith had a bit of a checkered past herself, but doesn't clarify. So Edith, Miracle's wife, Edith. He has since lost his television show and instead goes on tour across the southern United States, where he is not well known before the scandal. Goes on tour. Interesting. All right, so let's look up Clergy Watch. Actually, let's do Miracle Network. Find a website for Miracle Network. A production company run by Miracle Roottree Estate. It's quite bare bones, but has the following blurb. Witness the testimonies of the Miracle's Roottree. Miracle Roottree arrived so late in his mother's life that doctors swore he wouldn't survive in his first year. His mother and father, Elias and Gwyneth, named him Miracle because they thought him impossible. He was younger than his brothers and sisters by over 14 years. With a birth that late, the final child of his generation was nearly torn apart by countless health problems, but still, with the power of God on his side, he persevered. He triumphed over these complications and even regained his sight to spread the healing word of the Almighty. 23 years later, Miracle Roottree Jr. arrived and became the famous family's second vessel for the higher power. At 18, he unburdened himself from the Roottree name and took his father's testimony to a whole new level. Interesting. Via the power of television, Miracle Jr. spread the gospel across the entirety of New England. He has since left the life of glamour and glitz behind to reach those places that need it most. The power of the Lord coming to a town near you. Below the blurb is a flyer about the tour, which is in my evidence. Witness the power of the Lord in the summer of 96, 3 Generations of Miracles tour. Featuring the testimony from world-famous Miracle Jr. and special appearance from Miracle Roottree in his 68th year on God's earth. Children now welcome. Celebrate with your pastor, Miracle III, and his wife, Nicole. Okay, so he is also a preacher. All right, so now we've got our next 3 in.
On the phone, I said I owed you an explanation, but I can't reveal everything. Not yet. I'm sure this all seems like deception for deception's sake, so I'll try to explain why.
I wonder if she's someone who tried to fake her own death or something.
It's true, I'm working with lawyers, but not the candy company lawyers. My publisher's lawyers.
She's an author.
I'm on the verge of releasing a book, and it's not kind to the Roottrees. Especially Elias and the 5 Pieces. The truth often isn't. But with the plane crash, the publisher is rightfully worried it'll look like I'm making things up to exploit a tragedy.
I'm trying to, like, study her hair.
So they're doing their due diligence. That's why you're here. To be sure there's enough evidence for an expert to unearth the whole story. If I tell you the whole story now, we can't prove that. I hope you understand. That said, I can say that the work you're doing is very personal to me. To my story, one spot on the tree is more important than the rest. You've likely noticed it. It's locked for now. I'll return one final time, after you fill it in. Also, there are fewer Roottrees left. In a sense, that makes it easier. Use process of elimination.
Did you find all of the Cheerios? Did you have fun?
Yeah? You've got stinky Cheerio breath now.
Was that fun? Yeah, you had a good time? Okay.
Okay.
It's also harder to verify when you're right. You'll need 4 blood relatives before they lock from here on out.
Oh, okay.
I don't have any more evidence for you, but trust your intuition. If something has a high number, it's not a mistake.
What
You're
that
getting
means.
Closer and closer to the truth. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Something has a high number. Okay, that's all right. So now that we have to identify 4 people, I'm wondering if this is her. Gwyneth Madsen. So now we've got more pictures of him. We have another picture of him somewhere. What the fuck did you do, James? I don't remember. So this is not Tessa. So I guess this is Christina. Who the fuck is Tessa? Maybe this is Tessa? And November was a fucking red herring as well? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. All right. But let's continue. Whoa, right. Blah, blah, blah. We kind of already read all of this. Okay. Story so far. The next time they returned, they gave you a partial explanation. They hired you to help verify their personal account of the family's history. All that's left to do is finish the family tree and find what's in the locked space, which they said is personal to them. Yeah. So of the people that are likely to be her, it's probably Gwyneth. Given her age, the kind of hair that she has, and the fact that she has close affiliation with this. So, given that we need 4 now, what can we do? Did we learn something about... No. But we do have stuff to search. Okay, so we're actually gonna pivot a little bit. We're gonna do Operation RT29. Find more conspiracy websites. Some people out there claim that the Roottrees are changing the candy recipe to include more and more chemicals, and that this was done in cooperation with bad actors from an unknown government. They claim that due to a loophole in the calendar, it's possible to get away with nearly any crime on a leap day, so long as it isn't discovered until after the day is over. And that every 4 years on a leap year, the Roottree Company hosts a meeting with foreign agents to conspire to poison our children. The proof is that the Roottree candies contain polyglycerol polyrinsolethate, an ingredient of the candy that wasn't there when it first released. Okay. They claim it is added in an attempt to addict people and eventually induce mind control. The website claims to sell pills that counteract this effect for children that have already eaten Roottree candy in the past. Do an additional search for this, and it seems to be an emulsifier in chocolates approved by the FDA and widely used across many products. Well, never mind then. Okay. Thomas Overwood. I don't even remember who this is. Thomas Overwood seems to have a few different sites about the mysterious deaths and curses. Oh, right, okay. In addition to the Roottree Curse website, you find one about the truth behind Spirit Cola, which claims that Spirit really stands for Satan's Plague is returning in 2000. And that in the year 2000, anyone who has drunk Spirit Cola will die. Another website is Stock Markets and the Devil's Numbers, which claims that if you multiply any stock's price by 666, then also multiply that current year by that same stock's price, then add those two numbers together and divide the entire total by the stock price and subtract the current year, you'll always end up with 666. Does not seem relevant. Let's do Clergy Watch. Miracle Jr. Okay, we don't need that. We've already looked at this. What was her name? Edith Jacobson. So we'll do Edith Jacob. Find a link that seems to be a partial and corrupted list of archived articles from the Butler County Times. Mentions Edith Jacobson in an arrest. We finally did this. I remember talking about this and I just never have. Butler County is located outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. While the Roottree Candy Company now has its headquarters in the city, the company began on a small farm within the Butler County limits, and the area has lots of history with the family. The Butler County Times is presumably a local paper there. There are likely articles from over the years involving the Roottree family and those adjacent to them. It has been automatically added to your periodical search interface. As a side note, a video game called The Roottrees Are Dead was once set in Butler County, and it turns out the creator never lived in or near Butler County, or even had any connection to Butler County. Okay. What do we want to do now? Let's try the last search we have before we move on. Okay. Let's do Roottree Estate. No. All right, cool. So we can just delete these for now. Maybe I'll monologue a little bit. Seems like all the pictures are becoming clearer. And I don't just mean that because I've been using Pixpop. I've got most of the family tree sorted out, but there's still a big question mark over the legitimacy of Ernest, his family, or Sam, and his connection, their connection to the family at large. I was visited again by the dame at the door, and this time I think thumbed her for one. I think I've thumbed her. She let it drop, but she's an author. I guess she's in need of an editor for keeping secrets. My best guess, given her proximity to this affair, is that she's the daughter of Samantha Roottree and Ernest Madsen, I think. Gwyneth, hold up. Gwyneth Madsen. Author, whistleblower, portrait stealer, and my employer. Her husband died. Or her brother died from cancer. And I gotta admit, I'd be out for blood too. If I was the only one left in that branch of this shady tree. Are all of these completely nonsensical? Absolutely. But you know what? They're noir as fuck. President Guy was killed by a drunk driver in 1982. So it does say President Guy. But Ernie Madsen Jr. stepped down. Oh, he had a heart condition. Oh, it wasn't cancer. It was just his heart condition. Got it. That makes sense. We don't really know what he did, though. I guess he could have been in retail, like as a salesperson, but I don't know. We're not going to start guessing at shit. Yeah. Carl died in a plane. Oh, right. So President Guy was killed by a drunk driver. So he was the president. So the third president, maybe he was the fourth president. I don't know. We're going to say third because he was the fourth. And then Carl was the fifth. So this is... Maybe the issue is that this is the wrong picture? What's could it be, though? Like, they're redheaded. There's no way that it's not them, you know? I feel like it has to be these two, right? Or it could be these two. And then these two are... But I feel like these two look so similar. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think that these two are right. I feel like they're right. I mean, I could swap them, but I don't think I will. I mean, who else could this be? Him? That's the only other one, right? There's no way that it's fucking this guy. All right. So we really don't know who the fuck this is. We're really basing this off of a singular question. Oh, we can look up Edward Roottree. That's going to be the first thing I do. Hold on. Actually, let me look at this. Jim Roottree. What the fuck does Jim do? Hold on. Let's find out what the fuck Jim does. At this point, we can start putting in that stuff. Jim Roottree. What does he do now? Jim has become a recluse. Does he do anything now? I could have sworn that he does something. Like specifically with the family. Like he invented something or something like that. Let me go back in my search history. We'll go giga far back. What were we doing about Jim? Jim Rootree's interview. He started Raffertunes and he's a much better jingle writer than songwriter. That's right. He started Raffertunes. So I guess you could say that he's still a musician? Or he's an advertiser, you know? If we... That's right. I now remember this at the very least. I'm gonna say that he's a musician. Let me look at this again. He's a much better jingle writer than songwriter. That's how my father was connected to Roottrees. All of his old ad campaigns were hung on the wall. Wait. Let me read this. This is an interview with Jim. Wait. Oh, no. Clark is the one that's doing jingles. Yeah, Clark is the one that's in advertising. So what is he doing now? Reluctant hitmaker. That's what my father was connected. Right. So his father was in advertising. He may not be a musician anymore then. We don't actually know what he does. Because he's a recluse. Yeah, he stepped down. We're saying he's the third president, even though that... I think I've had that before. We've determined shit and it just didn't work. Why don't we do... Is there anything else that we can figure out about James? He's trying to make art. So maybe he's an artist? I mean, I feel like musician... He's probably not a musician anymore, really. I guess we really never found out what he's doing. But let's go back to our history. Raffertunes, we figured that out. And then we got into the Clark Rafferty thing. And we kind of gave up on Jim. We stopped looking into what he was doing. So we really don't know what he does, actually. Yeah. Oh. So they were making music through the early 90s. Okay. So yeah, no, he is a musician still. He's just a recluse with his wife. Okay, all right. That makes more sense to me then. I still think that's... I'm putting... It's not Tessa, though. We've determined that it's not Tessa. So, it's either Christina, November, or Roottrees. So, or, November. Oh my god. It's Christina, Tessa, or November. Let's look up Edward Roottree, because I think that will have relevant information. So we're going to do Edmund Roottree. Nothing. Fucker. Edward. What's up, Bubba? God damn it. Nothing? Ooh. Well, I remember, so this at least I've now set up, that he's in advertising. We could do Elias C, I guess. No. Who else then? Oops, didn't mean to do that. What about Miracle? Miracle Roottree and his son, who goes exclusively by Miracle Jr., have appeared in Butler County Times a great deal over the years. The Miracle Network, which is a collection of churches, television shows, and products that can be purchased, has multiple advertisements in each issue. You do find one article mentioning legal troubles. Unfortunately, it's a throwaway line in an article about a tour they plan to take across the southern United States. They call it the 3 Generations of Miracles. They're going on tour to leave their legal troubles behind. Yeah. Oh. Any attempt to find more about these legal troubles is thwarted. But let's search this at least, I suppose. We've already seen this. All right. What about... Samantha Roottree? Did I spell that right? Yeah. Nothing. James Roottree? Nope. What about Robert Roottree? I keep trying to alt-tab, thinking like I'm on my own computer. Tessa Roottree. Ron Roottree. Fuck. This hasn't been helpful at all. Gwyn, then. Butler County Times has been around for a long time. You find many ads from the 1950s for local movie theaters happen to list Gwyn Roottree's name in a cast list for films they were showing. Okay. What about Elias M? Nope. Clark. Carl. Carl's mentioned in the Butler County Times quite often, including an article that mentions Ernie Jr. Most of the articles concerning Carl are not important. One announces Carl's marriage to Brenda White. They were both in their early 20s. Carl got quite drunk at a charity event and broke his arm falling down some stairs. The article also mentions that Ernie is from 1996, when Carl Jr. took over as the 5th president from Ernie Jr. Ernie Jr. apparently liked to stay out of the spotlight and never appeared in Butler County Times other than a few mentions here and there. Hopefully it's not the period that's fucking me. What about Ernest Jr.? No. What about Gwyn? What was it? Gwyneth. Gwyneth Roottree often attended social events with her husband. She's not mentioned in the newspaper except in context, so you find no useful information. Shit. Find some information on a website for the first Anderson Maple Farm. There are a few photos. Because she's the same name. Gwyneth Madsen is who I'm looking up. What about Ernest Madsen? No. I didn't look up Ernest Jr. Madsen. I think I'm going to just put November back in this. We don't know what she's doing. My guess is that she's now in college. I don't know who would be Tessa, though, you know? Like, who would be Tessa Roottree at this point? I only have, like, these three. I guess we should look them up. It is Christina, right? Yeah, Christina. I think we've looked up November. He's just impossible to find anything, any information about. Maybe Clancy Edward? No, we've already done him. All right, well, it's time to use what we can, you know? All right, so we figured out that this is Christina. This is not Gwyneth. She's not an author. So maybe it's one of these two. The issue is now we have a limited number of options. Guy Hudson was not the third president when he died. We clearly can get more pictures. It's probably him. This is him. We've ascribed all of these to people at this point. I think I've had this before and it was not confirmed. Is deceased a thing? No. So it's not Gwyneth. Oh, this is wrong. Interesting. So I guess this is Mark? We don't know who Caroline is married to anymore? Maybe she's the author. It would explain why she's, there's differences between her and Carl. She also could be the person. We're closing in. That's for sure. Have I looked up Stephanie Landon? Probably spelled this wrong. Steph Annie Landon. She might be in the newspaper. The most recent mention of Stephanie Jones is a small report detailing the election results from last month's election. Stephanie apparently won her election. You also find the full version of the newspaper clipping on the back of the campaign mailer. While most of it is unimportant, you do find the following. Lived in Butler County without a father. Oh. With my mother and her partner, I essentially had an entirely female influence. So that makes more sense. So Caroline is in a partnership with another woman. An artist. Though she is a distant cousin of the Roottrees, her mother Caroline, a local artist who appeared on the front page of the Butler County Times in the past, has often come out opposed to the corporation's policies regarding deforestation of indigenous trees to expand their maple farms. Unlike my mother, I'm not a fighter. I want to bring love to the world. Unlike my mother. So let's look up Caroline Morden. Morden. Find a cover story about local art installations, including one by Caroline Morden. There isn't much about Caroline as a person. This is mostly a listing of art in Butler County. She seems to get top billing. Accompanying the story, there's an image of Caroline standing beside a large metal sculpture of a mermaid. It is captioned, Caroline standing next to her sculpture, Atlantis Burden. The sculpture is one of many works featured in her upcoming book, Self-Portrait Art and the Beauty of Women. According to a quote further down, Atlantis' burden is meant to symbolize a society split by indecision over whether women should be equals or something to protect. A picture on the front has been added to your evidence. Caroline standing next to her sculpture. The sculpture is one of many works featured in her book. Okay. Let's go to the library. Mostly black and white pictures of Caroline's art. The centerpiece is a series of full-color nude self-portraits at different ages, stretching from 25 to 30. They certainly have not been added to your evidence. In the intro, Caroline talks about her influences. She was one of the youngest in her generation. In her elite team, she felt betrayed when her sister Gwendolyn and her cousin Bonnie gave up on dreams to settle for boring men. She especially dislikes her brother-in-law, Dr. Wilson, who she calls completely bogus. Their marriages led to her double down on her passions, art, and the environment. Her cousin Bonnie. So Bonnie, I guess, is a housewife. And also possibly a housewife. We're gonna make this Tessa. Maybe this is November, Roottree. I don't know. I don't know. I simply do not know. Wait, what was that? It sounded like somebody erasing something. Okay. We're gonna keep reading. Gave out on dreams to settle for boring men. Their marriages led to her to double down on her passions, art, and the environment. She even married a man who was the opposite of boring, which was an overcorrection. She comes out strongly against the Roottrees company effect on the environment and ruse. She was not able to convince her father, Zach, to make changes to policy. She also explains that her marriage to Mark led to the most volatile moments in her life. The only good thing she ever gave her was a daughter. Leaving them all behind for good has pushed her to pursue her true loves, art, and the beauty of women. Okay. You can open this envelope after the whole family tree has been filled in. We don't know who her partner's name was. We also don't know who Guy Hudson's wife was. Let's look up Guy Hudson in this. Although the Butler County Times does not archive their obituaries, they did in front page story in 1982 about Guy Hudson and his wife Patricia dying in a car accident. So we have two. Patricia Christensen or Jones. Start with the top. The story itself is surprisingly unrelevant details due to the recency of the accident. Police reported the crash was caused by an unidentified driver who swerved in front of the Hudson's car, causing them to brake hard and veer off the interstate. Although Guy was somewhat controversial president, foul play is not suspected. There were witnesses who reported that the vehicle which instigated the wreck was speeding, swerving between lanes, and cutting off other drivers as well for at least 5 or 6 minutes before the tragic accident. One witness says it could have been any one of us who they eventually ran off the road. The aggressor fled after the accident, and the police have few leads other than make and model. Guy had been president of the Roottree company for only 4 years. Though an undoubtedly volatile period in the company's history, he and his wife had no children. Bonnie. So we don't know if this is... Who is he, then? Did I put this picture in? Maybe this is Guy. They're both wearing glasses. I thought she was the one who had twins, though. He steps down as the president, but I'm going to put that back in there, I guess, just so that we have a timeline. Because first president, second president, third president, and then he dies. And the reason why he's not being categorized, I think, is because I had the wrong picture for him. Obviously, this is like Sam. It could be that Samantha is just the wrong name. We could do Tessa for her instead. We're literally only making the assumption that she is Samantha because of the whole Sam thing. But this could be Samantha, you know? I still think it's November. And then maybe this is Samantha Roottree? I don't know. I'm going to put author back in here. Even though it didn't work, did it? One of them is an author. Because of what I was told. Maybe she's the author. We'll put Samantha back. I don't know. I feel like that's a stupid deduction, but I really wish I could learn more about Edward. I just seem to not be able to. Did we ever learn what Angelica's, like, career is? Patricia Jones, Helen Lennon, Joan Monroe, April Quaritch. I feel like some of these have to be red herrings, right? Catherine Wilkins. Wait, Catherine Wilkins? Why does that sound familiar? Maybe it's Bonnie. Maybe she's the author. Or maybe she's like a journalist. Is that one? No. All right. So what do we know about... We really don't know a lot about Angelica Morden. Why don't we look her up in the newspaper? Maybe Christopher Hudson? It's Hudson. No. Maybe Business Watch? No. Let me read the book again. Okay. Clark Alone. Pop. Head lawyer. Complaints. Aunt Margot. Being Starlet. She's the first Roottree woman to be anything other than a housewife, and I am jealous. All right. Maybe she's Angie. No way, right? Let me find out. There's a relationship with Angie and Zach. Angie's older than Zach. So this is Angelica for sure. But for whatever reason, housewife doesn't seem to be who she is. I also thought about making her secretary for whatever reason. It's always the secretary, right? Maybe let's look up Elias Jr. Maybe I need to put his last name. Fuck. All right, I feel confident about Caroline. We'll be able to put... We can even put her older picture here. And we can see that she looks pretty similar. But we'll put that one there. Normally, they group... Like, what they have traditionally done is they put related siblings close to one another. But it could be that these two are... And these two... But then who's he? Because it should be like these three are... But did I have him here? We're also missing a picture of him. Which is interesting. Oh, wait. Right. It's that picture. He's not wearing glasses in this one. Yeah, this looks way more like him. Maybe this is actually Bonnie. And then this is Gwendolyn. But these two look more similar. I don't know. They do have similarities. Let's look at hair. He has like somewhat curly hair. Her hair is straight. They have similar hair. Maybe we'll go back to her being an author now that we have this picture. And maybe she's just a housewife? Should put this back to housewife as well, even though we know that that's not right. I've had this listed before and it didn't work. We don't know anything about Edward, do we? Maybe he was also an author. Because he's progressive. Let's look up Elias M. Frig. We have so few left. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 people left to identify, which means it's 3 final sets. We're clearly missing something in terms of knowledge. Like, I don't have a complete picture. It's entirely likely that I'm missing 2 pieces of evidence even. I've done everything on here. This feels like the easiest group to try and identify. What have I heard about Bonnie? What was her name? Hudson? Nothing. David Kellig, maybe? Mm-mm. Hmm. Let me look this up again. Miracle Network, 3 generations. Can't find anything but the legal troubles. What about Red? There's a sensationalist headline from 1932. Red Roottree Riley Rally Racket revealed. There was a sensationalist headline from 1932. Red Roottree Riley, or Rally. Rally, fuck, whatever. Rally Racket revealed. So it is just a red herring. Well, I think I'm going to leave it here for now. We will return to this in the next episode. Oh, apparently I put my glasses on at some point and took off my... don't pay no attention to this. Whatever. I think when I started alt-tabbing, I switched over to my sunglasses. Oh, well. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm having fun playing. I've only got 3 sets left to figure out. I'm going to need to ruminate on this a little bit. Maybe not ruminate, that's the wrong word. Like, reflect on this a little bit. And I will come back at this with a fresh perspective and some new ideas. I hope you had fun watching. I had fun playing. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.